Hello, hello, welcome. Welcome, everybody. You can speak, baby. You can say hello.
Hello.
All right, let us know if you can hear us clearly. We've got two mics, a two mic system over here. I think I figured out this microphone that I'm using right now. So make sure that you let us know in the comments. Yes, it's perfect.
I'm good. So I
Yeah.
can see the comments here and here.
So
Is it all the same?
no,
Sorry guys, I'm trying to figure this out. I'm
the
a I'm a noob.
First of all, hi, welcome to the first live podcast of Follow Your Bliss with Sandy and Charlie. That's very exciting.
It
I'm real.
is.
It
We've
is.
only been talking about it for 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah, it's been a really long time, and that's all.
Got a spam call. Perfect timing.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is Charlie's first real live. He's popped in on my lives before, but it's a whole other thing when you have a planning and you have a schedule and you're like, okay, at this day today, I'm going to be doing this thing. And I get very anxious, and then I make him anxious.
Well, I think I made you anxious too.
Y- y-
But also I think I might like popping in better than actually just it being my half my podcast, but we'll see. We'll settle in here a little bit.
Yeah, you don't like anything that requires you to commit.
And sit still.
Well, that too. That too. That is going to be probably, but that's
I
also.
committed to you
You did, but it took you three
for 3 years.
years.
Yeah, that's true. I guess it's taken me 3 years to commit to this as well.
Are you on a 3-year thing?
I don't know.
Do you have a
Maybe.
3-year journey?
I mean, I worked for Dad for 5 or 6 years before I committed to that fully. So,
Well, there you go. It's just let's break the cycle, and we're committing to this.
all right. So who all do we have here? Who are these people?
So
Do you
these
know any of these people?
these
Yet?
wonderful people over here, I recognize some. Yes, I recognize Isto one. Kevin Ryler's been here before. Ranya's been here before. Everybody's been here before. Anyway, I'm seeing.
Well,
So,
welcome back, friends.
yeah, so the difference between the two live chats that you see here is that this one is exclusively Twitch, and
Uh,
this one is also YouTube. So you have YouTube people over there. You have Mariska in there.
Sweet.
On Attends, Agnès. It's so weird because my brain is like trying to pronounce the names in French,
Your
but
brain's
it's
in
not.
English currently. I
Sinon,
think.
prenons cette image d'attente. Bon, ça va faire chaud pour moi, le domaine de l'anglais. Je tente quand même. Well, j'espère que ça va bien se passer pour toi, Agnès. It will be available on YouTube with closed caption in French if
Were
if
you able to set that up yet, or is it?
I wasn't. I did speak with someone that works at Twitch yesterday, and she said that she was going to internally figure out if there's a way. But the OBS program was not working. Like my computer was flagging the plugin as like a potential spam or a potential thing, so it didn't work. Bonjour Manon. Hello, hello. Hi everyone. Hi Morgan. Happy to see you both finally doing this thing. I know it's a long time coming, but
Well, I think part of the reason we're doing it now is at least I felt like it was easier to commit to doing something live because I think I realized just popping in that doing something that was more interactive is more enjoyable for me than
mm,
talking to a camera. And so that's one point I want to hit on that, we welcome comments and ideas and thoughts. And I think I do a better job playing off of
yeah, well,
others
yeah.
sort of communicating that way.
Well,
So,
it makes the experience a human experience
yeah,
rather than like a disconnect with a camera and a lens in between us, and
yeah.
it's quite lovely.
So I think thoughts, ideas, questions, anything, and obviously we'll have things we want to talk about as well. But oh, she said it makes sense. All
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
The other question I had is whether we should explain the name.
Well, so we have the explanation video on our channel on YouTube
Okay,
right
should we
now.
make them go to
So it exists.
the?
Yes, if you want to have the full story of why we chose Follow Your Bliss, but long story short, it's just kind of an inside joke that we have, which is kind of a real loose thing to say. Oh, just follow your bliss, you know, man. Just go with the flow. But then also there's this real idea, this real um yeah, this real idea of actually finding your bliss, of actually finding harmony, peace, love, just all of those things that really make life special. And so it's kind of like a, you know, and we tried to find another name or something different, but honestly, that's really what worked best.
Yeah, she wouldn't let me use the sarcastic names that I came up with, but
Well, nobody would have gotten them. I didn't even get them. If your wife is not getting your jokes, it's not
everybody
working.
understands. Not everybody gets my humor.
Right. Well, yeah.
It's too many years of watching Seinfeld
I
episodes.
know. You know, there was a point in our friendship where like sometimes I would see you post things like random things in your story or like
Mhm.
captions on your pictures, and I would just be like, "What?"
Yeah, yeah.
Like I really genuinely question
Work.
this man. Like, am I actually
It's not always working well, but it's working.
like is this guy's not funny? What's going
I make
on?
myself laugh, guys, and that's sometimes that's key to following your bliss is to make yourself laugh.
Oh yeah, I think it's like, 90% of the thing, if you can make yourself laugh and if you can laugh about yourself,
Mm.
you know, but be kind to yourself also. It's a whole other thing. So, um for this first episode, I have a few things that I can propose to you. First of all, we would love if you have like, I don't random questions. It feels odd when I say things like that because it almost like you know, like me as an expert. Hi, do you have a question? That's not really what
Yeah,
I'm
we're
saying.
experts at nothing.
Yeah, no, yeah, I was trying to find something that you're pretty good at making coffee, but unfortunately once in a while, there's a mishap. So I think that's what kind of like gets the expertise out, right? To be an expert, you've got to be like good in it. Oh, whatever. I'm sorry. I went off. I went off. So you can feel free to ask us any questions, but if you don't have any and you just kind of want to, you want to, well, I don't know. I want to interact with them peeps. Sometimes I know that people like to lurk, which is kind of funny too. They just
We have any lurkers?
do we have lurkers?
Show
If
yourself.
if you are a
If you're
lurker,
lurking,
if
show
you're
yourself.
um but no, I have games actually, and I thought that would be kind of fun if we don't know where to go or if we kind of want an icebreaker. I've got those things. So we've got three different games. There's where should we begin, which kind of feels like a perfect nope, not lurking today. Letice is active. She's not lurking. Is the microphone low or are my ears broken? Well, I'd rather your ears not be broken. Let's just say that. But I can put up the microphones.
I
We're
wonder
all
if I'm not sitting close enough.
well, yeah, and you have a very low voice. We should have,
Do I?
yeah.
Um, um,
Is it better? Are the microphones better in like
if your
in
ears are broken, you should see a doctor.
it may just be also that I need to switch microphones and like I take the Yeti and you take this one,
Look,
but
her little
I've
thing
tried to put
moves.
it. Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
Technology,
Better.
the internet.
Thanks to be here in love today with Sandy. It's cool. My English is not so good. Your English is good. It's
I'm in love with Sandy today too, so I get it.
you're in love.
I mean, every day.
That's what she means. Thanks to be here. Hello, Nini. To be
To
live.
be
Yes,
here and live today with
yes,
Sandy. Okay, all right.
yes.
Well, it's cool if you're in love with her too. She's pretty awesome.
Um. Anyway, that so I get so awkward when this happens when I'm complimented, but I appreciate it. Um, where should we begin? We could play this game, Hello Pauline, or we can play another game. We have the and Stranger Editions. We're not strangers, so that one doesn't work.
Yeah, just pick one.
All right, the couples edition. We have that one.
Okay.
So,
See, I thought we were going to talk about whether or not the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting was
you want to
a
talk
setup or not.
So what is your okay, what is your theory
No,
about this?
y'all don't want politics.
Well, we already we I mean, they like politics clearly.
Do
Well,
they?
we've been talking about a lot of politics on this.
Would you rather us talk about ourselves and our relationship or about politics? We can do both too.
Yeah. Agnès, j'ai pas Twitch, mais c'est un énorme investissement de temps que tu sembles faire chaque jour.
How you
Ouais.
doing?
Hello, how you doing?
She says both.
Uh, both to what?
Political, just everything you want and feel comfortable talking about. All right, both could be fun. All right, well, here's my opinion on the shooting. I don't think it was a setup because I don't think that the White House press secretary would have said something about shots being fired if she knew that shots were going to be fired. I do, however, think that the ear shooting was fake because Trump is not missing any cartilage in his ear. And I've seen a meme of Evander Holyfield after Mike Tyson bit his ear, and he's missing cartilage because cartilage does not grow back. So, all right.
But could it be possible? But he's not missing any flesh either. Like he's missing nothing out of
Yeah,
his ear.
that's what.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I've had that thought too, because if you're to shoot someone, like if it grazed it,
And somehow he like
and like he,
perfectly moves his head at the right moment so that it grazes him instead of hitting him.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and it's looked weird too in the sense that like I mean, his first reaction was to stand and like, put his fist up, but Trump notoriously dodged the military draft. He is not a brave man, So it's like, well, I'm just not buying that. I'm just not buying that. Um, hey, guys. Cannot stay long, but hope you're going to do more of this chit chat. Have a great day. Thank you so much for being here, just even for this little bit. We will be doing these hopefully every week. So
Unless y'all just love me, then she'll be forced to bring me back more often. So
sweet. I mean,
show up.
forced. It's a pleasure to be with you. It's a pleasure to share this moment with you.
I know, but
Uh,
all right, you want to do a question? Oh, I got to remember not to clear my throat all the time. You told me that I do that
you do that.
or just in general.
In general.
Mhm.
Yeah, but Charlie has a lot of allergies and I'm going to be doing a lot of clearing my throat as well.
Pollen in Middle Tennessee right now is out of control.
Yeah, yeah, and I've been feeling quite almost ill the last 2 days because my body was trying to fight through pollen and it's been really rough. I have actually not been getting out into the garden. I don't know where my lettuce is. I have no idea what's happening with it because I cannot be outside. I need a mask. Did you find something that you want to share?
Are you feeling better?
How do
I
you
think you're
feel?
feeling
I
better.
do. I do. I feel much better today. I took Tylenol yesterday. I took an antihistaminic Allegra yesterday this morning. I took my Adderall this morning too, so I feel much better. I feel very sharp right now, so that feels good. What time is it at your place? By the way, my school English is bad. It's just fine. Right now it's 11 a.m. So,
Don't worry about your
and
English.
yeah, and don't,
Y'all are, Google Translate does a good enough job and even just practicing, you know,
yeah, and
as someone who spent a year working on my French and then switched to chess because it was getting so hard. We don't judge here. This is a judgment-free zone. We
Yes.
might laugh at haters. I make fun of them some,
Sorry.
and then before they get kicked out or ignored. But um,
Yeah.
we want all of this to be safe, judgment-free. Duolingo. Yep, I
Yes.
got 725 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sandy was very excited and proud of me when it was French. And then
Yeah,
less so
I'm
once I
so
moved to Czech.
unimpressed now. Yeah, I'm so unimpressed by it. I'm like,
It's
yeah,
really
great,
hard.
400 days or whatever you're on, you know.
Yeah, my brain
Yeah.
doesn't I don't my memory is not what it once
Well,
was.
and it's not really like conducive, the Duolingo thing. Like you learn a little bit of thing, but it's not really conducive to, you know, a certain point. Like it kind of stalls there and then it gets really hard all of a sudden.
This is
But
our this is the best way to practice English with random
100%.
figures.
100%.
If you can follow along with my southern accent, that helped.
Correct.
That's pretty impressive, I think.
Correct. 100%. And you know, as someone who speaks two just languages, like we need to not be apologetic for whatever our second language sounds like,
Mm.
you know. And it takes a lot of gut to learn a new language. It takes a lot of gut to even practice the language that you don't know fully. And I think that it's very important to celebrate any little, you know, improvement. And I love that. I love that more and more people are trying to learn second languages.
Well, that is what's great about
Yeah.
Duolingo is that they're really good at all the little vibrations and noises and positive feedback and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Um,
Yeah. Shen you you told me your name yesterday, I believe, and I forgot it already. Your accent is quite easy to understand, lucky yes. It's not bad. I mean, you know, Kelsey heard you on the phone the other day and she hadn't heard you in a while and she was like, "Oh, I forgot he has such a thick accent." She lives in Utah. And she has a dad from Alabama. Talk about thick accent. This is the best way. Yep, yep, yep. I can read, write, and listen, but I can never speak any languages, sauf le français, bien sûr.
we
Attendez.
don't say never. We
Non.
don't say never. We just haven't yet.
Yeah, c'est vrai que je ne suis pas si à la ramasse que ça. Non, clearly, Agnès, you're understanding everything that we're saying because you're responding in French. But you're understanding everything. Yeah. Did you pull out questions?
No, I was gonna joke. I
Oh,
was gonna make a joke about how you love these little games and you always pull them out. And I'm not a big game guy, and so I never give you the positive
the
reinforcement.
pleasure. Yeah, well, no, and the pleasure to enjoy. So I just love getting to know people. I love any opportunity to like think about, like, have questions that I wouldn't think about necessarily. And I just love the conversations that come out of these. Like they're just so
There's
fun.
there's one in here. A sexual
Cute, Pauline.
a sexual experience that I would pay for.
Oh my. Damn.
Scandalous.
Scandalous.
We're not ready to get that scandalous on day one. I think day two, day three, maybe.
Hello, Tiffen. We're just kind of getting into it. We're just kind of getting into it and just warming up and everything. Just been kidding about, I don't know.
When I look at a
Oh, we were
photo,
talking about the conspiracy theories of Trump's assassination attempt.
well, we moved on. We
We
all
did.
got sad. When I look at a photo of my younger self, I see. Dot, dot, dot.
Ooh, think about this one, you guys, for a minute. When I look at a photo of my younger self, I see. What do you see?
Immaturity, a lack of a completely formed frontal lobe. Um,
Very
um,
specific.
yes, a lot of a lot of immaturity, just across the board.
Well, I mean, you know, it's a younger self, of course. Although I guess that's really what I think about too when I think about that. Um,
All right, what about you?
Well, I there's a big part of me that mourns the naivete, or just like the overflowing creative and the freedom that I felt in my body. Like I was a very, outgoing child. I performed everywhere I could. I was always trying to get attention. I was such a different person than I am now as an adult, who's way more shy, way more reserved.
That's
So
interesting.
I miss that. I think that when I see those pictures, I think of like all the time that I was just goofing around to the point where I would get in trouble, of course, because I was not behaving, and I think
Wow,
about that.
you may have had it.
Yeah, I think about all the times where I would just like sing like at the top of my lungs, in the car, in my room, like everywhere. Like I think about that. It's just the freedom. Don't look at me like that,
Why?
little sappy
No, I
that.
love it.
See,
I
that's
want
a
you to feel free.
I know, and I'm trying to, but even like dancing in the house, and even in this house in particular, I don't know if it's just the layout, like somehow I feel like I'm gonna fall through the
We don't
ceiling.
have enough dancing room.
No, and
If
I'm
we
like,
move,
I'm
we'll
gonna
have to
fall
make
in
sure
the
that
basement.
it
I
has
just
a good amount of dancing space.
Yeah, and singing the same. Like the house is so small that I'm like, if I was to sing to the power of the like that I can sing, like no, nobody wants that.
Why?
I don't know. I grew up in a family, in a household where nobody wanted
I
it.
love your singing. She's a great
Uh,
singer, and it wasn't until last year at a funeral.
no, it was 2 years ago. But yeah,
I think it was last year.
okay.
I stand by that. At a funeral that I heard her like really sing for the first time, and she's an incredible
Oh,
singer
thank you.
because she and you don't just let it out. You got to let it out.
No,
Yeah, see,
no.
she says you're a great singer. Who's that?
Pauline.
Pauline?
Yeah,
Pauline?
Pauline. Yeah, she's such a sweetie. Um, don't be so hard on yourself, Tiffany says.
Yeah.
Yeah. We saw it sometimes in the vlogs. Yes, well, yeah, I sing all the time. It's just a matter of like, if it's heard or whatever. And in my vlogs, I started not cutting them because I realized when I'm moving the camera, I'm singing or I'm doing something, and I just decided to leave them in the yeah, I used to
You want
take
to sing something for us
oh
right
my
now?
God, no, probably not. I don't think so.
No? Okay.
I believe I can
All
fly.
right.
Do we
Let's
need
see.
to demonstrate Do we need a demonstration of your singing so T-Fan was already on top
That's
of it?
what I'm saying. I think so.
Yeah. I used to do so one of my favorite okay, let's go back to this. One of my favorite song to sing is All I Wanted Was You, like All I Wanted by Paramore, and I used to hit that note. Um Now sometimes I still do as an adult, but it really depends on the day, and my voice is not it cuz I'm sick right now. But um yeah, that was a go-to, emo scene. I actually listened to your cover of Let It Go too often. Oh my gosh, I forgot this was still up. Oh my God. That's
What
embarrassing.
is to what?
Of
There's a
Let It
song
Go.
that she sang.
Oh yeah, there's multiple. There's multiple.
Can someone send me the
Well,
link?
as if we've known each other like for a really long time, those have been, some of them have been on my Instagram. You just didn't see them.
Well,
So now you don't
how
get to
far
see them.
does a person have to go? I
It
need a
happened. It happened when we
I
when
need
we
a
knew each other.
I need a link.
Je m'interroge toujours sur comment le mouvement
Somebody hit me up.
Q a pu prendre une telle ampleur en France. Vraiment, c'est oh, ouais, ouais, ça c'est un sacré sujet. Yeah, you better sing, girl. Yes, I remember the songs here, Piot. Yeah, I do. I do have a song. Um, it pops up on my Google Music too sometimes. There's a
Your song?
well, I did a cover of a Lana Del Rey song for a Piot,
Oh
and
gosh,
so
I
the
must have to do a deep dive on your Instagram, I guess. I mean, well, I don't know.
it is what it is. It is what it is.
The things you find out,
Yeah, well, there you go. You needed to do a live stream
apparently.
to find out that I've done covers before. Um, Hi Sandy, hi Charlie, je suis désolée, je suis une bille en anglais. Alors vous fais un petit coucou et je vous souhaite un bon live. Merci Aizé. That's so sweet. Did you have something over here?
Hmm.
Ooh, if you could be famous for one thing, what would it be?
Mac and cheese recipe you posted on your blog years
Oh my
ago. I'm
God.
obsessed with this one and can't find it now. Oh wow.
Oh,
Somebody's been around a long time.
yeah, the mac and cheese, that was 2020. Um, yeah, it's not on the blog anymore, but is it on Instagram? Is it, I think there's a video, there's a reel of it on Instagram of my mac and cheese recipe. I don't know why I'm looking at you. Someone was so Agnes was actually talking about she says she wonders how exactly the Q movement actually took root in France, and like she's kind of blown away that that's actually migrated there. And
QAnon?
yeah, well, and that's not a subject that I don't think you're very well informed on. And
No, in fact, I've tried to stay as far away from that
yeah,
crazy as I can because it scares the hell out of me. Though I assume that anywhere that there are men who hate women and everybody else, that there's probably QAnon
well,
or things like it.
yeah, well, for me, like the first contact that I had with QAnon was through the church and through the people of the church.
Hmm.
And they were, you know, missionaries, American missionaries to European countries or to France, Belgium, places like that. And so, um, Hanya says he's discovering secrets. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Um, and so that was my first contact with QAnon. And I remember being on Facebook in 2013 when I still had Facebook and I lived in my apartment in Georgia and alone at that time. And I remember seeing QAnon posts on Facebooks
Right.
and looking at them. And I remember liking one of them and then click and be like, wait, and then kind of like digging through the thing and be like, no, actually, I don't want to have like that, and removed it. I think I might have even reposted like, something on my Instagram at some point.
Really.
Yeah, that was back when I was still very religious, like 2013. I had just left France and I didn't have a church, but I was still like deeply committed, like well, like to my faith.
Hmm.
But yeah. Bonjour, le live sera en anglais ce soir. Oui, le live est en anglais ce soir. Ce soir, c'est la diffusion de notre podcast live Follow Your Bliss avec Charlie. Et donc, c'est une fois par semaine. On espère une fois par semaine. Il est après retranscrit sur YouTube. Et sur YouTube, il y aura les sous-titres. Pour le moment, les sous-titres ne sont pas encore activés sur Twitch parce que j'ai pas réussi à trouver le moyen de le faire. Donc voilà, il n'y a pas de quoi. And Nedit Blanc says hello, Charlie.
Hello. How are you?
I followed you when you were in Georgia. Such a pleasure to see how you've evolved and what a conscious, genuine person you became. I sincerely wish you all the best now. I love this Sandy's version. Denali, merci. Thank you. That's very sweet. She's very kind. Um, yeah, and it's a long ride from Georgia.
How long ago was that?
Well, I moved in the States in 2014. So I'm so sorry, 2012. So um, that'll be 14 years ago now in September. Yeah, there's a lot of things that's changed since
That
then.
was right around when I moved to Seattle for grad school,
Yeah. So you
2013.
you should tell us about you should tell them about yourself. I think they know a little bit, but you have a very fascinating background. And I'm sorry, I'm like angling over there because I'm reading Agnès on YouTube. Merci Sandy, j'ai compris deux, trois choses. C'est un vrai sujet à creuser et enfin, si tu nous éclaires un jour sur ce point, je serai présente. Absolument. we'll talk more about QAnon for sure. Like, and there's a whole video that I have started that I'm kind of like not able to complete right now because of my computer's graphic card crashing on me every time I try to work on that video. That is like a very, very heavy documentary style of like the whole MAGA movement and how it became what it is, and how it's actually outreached what it was, it was intended to be, because it's just been taken by so many people that just wanted to grab hold of it and use its power. So it's a very fascinating things, and it's the same thing with like the going to church and being religious, and that's also a subject that we've talked about, you and I together, is the deconstruction of both our faiths, because we grew up both Christians, and how it impacted us, and how it actually, while I think in both our cases kind of helped us maybe cope with some moments in time, it also disab dis you're reading the thing and you're not, dis it disabled us. That's what I was, from our authentic self. And
Well, I got distracted because I saw my name, and
sure.
she said some very nice things.
Yeah, Denali.
I'm glad
You have
whatever.
to read those out loud,
Oh,
just in case. I don't know. I don't know why you have to read them out loud. How do you?
well, she's talking about getting out of physical abuse. I'm very happy for you that you were able um to get out of that. I worked in for a confidential shelter for domestic violence and interpersonal violence victims. And actually, I played a pickleball tournament this last weekend with for a nonprofit that does interpersonal. Uh,
Like,
yeah, that was the sponsor. They were raising money, which was super cool. Now, I also cussed very loudly when I got mad, and so I may have emailed to apologize for that. Yeah, part of being human is being a little mediocre sometimes.
yeah,
So, but thank you for saying that. I think uh, it's not always as obvious how much of a incredible impact Sandy's had on me, and who she has helped me become. And so uh, she has loved me so well and loved so many fears out of me, that, I think it's a good reminder that sometimes you just have to keep waiting and working on your own stuff so that you're ready for a great person when that great person shows up.
yeah,
But a lot of it's patience too. I think that's the hardest part. And she sat and waited on me for 3 years, and what if I just walked into? Uh,
Inès,
um,
Inès, hello Marion.
we would love to hear more about Charlie's story. That sounds inspiring. Um, Well, I could give you some background. Be happy to. Of course, I love talking about myself. But
Then,
I think,
then please.
yeah, but asking questions too. But I think the important highlights are that I went to work in Washington D.C. for George W. Bush in um, 2006, right out of college, back when I was religious and thought that I was Republican, and I actually befriended for the first time in my life an openly gay man. His name is Kelly. He's still a friend, and he and I used to have these great conversations about sexuality, and particularly religion, because he really struggled with a religion that told him that his life and his lifestyle was not right. And of course, now I would tell him that, that's not what the Bible says, and that's not what, certainly I believe God believes, or God. but I was really deeply impacted by him and some other things that happened during that time. Partially the fact that Fox News was on every TV, and even then, it was like, this is just terrible. Um, but I came back and was it is this boring? Am I
No,
going too much, too deep? Um,
no, it's not boring, baby. I'm just listening to you.
how do you approach religion with Piat? Um,
You make a lovely couple. Thank you. Thank you, Lindy's.
Absolutely not boring.
No, no, your background is fascinating. I'm quiet because I'm listening deeply, and so are they.
Well, so I worked at a school for a little while and ended up going to business school in North Carolina. And I actually had a panic attack. And one of the coolest moments to look back at, I was sitting in a therapist office for the first time. And the therapist said, and it's such a simple question. She said, Charlie, do you want to be here? And I remember it was one of the first times in my life where someone asked me an important question and didn't care what the answer was. She had no dog in that
Okay.
hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and it took me like what felt like 5 minutes, and I just said, no, I really don't. And I moved home, actually back in with my parents that day or
Mm,
the next day, and it really was the catalyst that led me down a path to eventually getting my master's in psychology and doing a lot of deconstruction around my theology and religion. I went to a school where I had to do what was essentially a minor in theology, and so got a lot of time to sit and study and learn. Um, and then yeah,
mm.
ended up back in Nashville. A couple of later years later, met Sandy.
You're such a cheese ball.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
all right with it.
Yeah, but it's I think it's a really impressive background because and like I've told you many times, you know, you were born in privilege. Hello, crickets, crickets, Rockwell. You were born into privilege. You were born with a certain, you know, status and prestige. Like your family's been established in Nashville for a really long time. The name is, you know, somewhat known in you know certain areas by certain people. Like there was all of this, and then you know um your aspiration in life were motivated by your grandfather a lot because he you know he was a very great man, it sounds like. And when you went out in the world as an adult and you tried to figure out what was the way for you and what it was, you know, to be a human and experience, you know, the world, you went and took the hard path. And you know,
Certainly the messy path.
yeah, what, yeah, but like you decided to not, you know, you decided not to just follow what would seem to have been dictated for you or what you thought was required of you. Like you decided, you know, even perhaps even if it was because it was at a breaking point, but you decided to go and pursue something that was authentic, and that's beautiful. And I think that's something that not a lot of men seem to get to experience because they're very much pushed. Like, you know, when you say you were in a like I'm thinking finance bro, like you were headed the path of like being a finance bro, which is like such a cliche right now in 2026. And you think about it, like you think about all those doge bros, and I'm thinking, you know, that's the path that a lot of men are choosing to follow now because it seems it's been told to them that that's the path of righteousness or that the path of status. And I think it's bold that you decided to just be like, nah.
I I joke sometimes that I'm a recovering special person. And what I mean by that is that
Heard you
I
say
grew
that.
up really okay.
No.
I grew up thinking that I was special and I was supposed to do something special with my life. And so, like in business school, I'll never forget. We were going around the room, um, and everybody was saying, where do you see yourself, or what is it? What's your ultimate goal?" And I said, "I want to be governor of Tennessee." And you know, just so absurd and just the absolute last job I would ever. I mean, you couldn't give it to me. I don't want it. Well, I don't know. Maybe I do because I could change some stuff. But my point is that somewhere along the way I had to realize that I was just a human and I wasn't special. And um I, I guess sometimes it amazes me that there aren't more men who get to a place where they're like, this is not working for me. Like, because I don't think I'm special and I don't I think there are some things when I look back at childhood where I got bullied a lot in high school, and I think that really softened me to the plight of those who didn't grow up with privilege. And certainly I'm not suggesting that I understand what it's like to be black in America or be a woman, but I do know what it's like um, to be outcast, be picked on, be, you know, feel out of place every day. Um, and I guess I'm just surprised there aren't more people because I know there's a lot of bullying out there, and I just don't know why it doesn't turn more people soft.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Isn't every human special though? Yeah. I mean,
Certainly, I
every.
think from a value standpoint, we
Yeah.
all have value. So yes, I think in that way. I think when I use the word special, I mean it in a sense of it coming with a lot of pressure and a lot of expectations. Um, that like I had to make a name. I had to be able to look back at my life one day
With a
and look
legacy.
and but a legacy based on money or political power or these things, making a name for myself in public in some way, in a positive way, which is I think very different from, hey, you're special and amazing just the way you are, push deeper into being who you are. That
Yeah, it was an ego based kind of like I'm special.
mhm.
I'm going to accomplish great things, rather than I'm
I'm going to go
unique
out and
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 offend.
do
Yeah.
good in the world
Yeah.
and um, be a positive influence, be, do things for others,
Yeah.
not just for
Yeah.
myself and my own glory.
Yeah.
So,
And then he says sometimes being special is having the courage to stand for what we believe. Yeah. Well, and especially in this day and world in age, I mean, uh, that is, standing for what we believe is the most courageous and the most special thing that we can have, I think.
well, and I think the great equalizer, and I'm making this up as I go. I haven't really thought this all the way through, so just a heads up on
Yeah,
that.
it's live.
I think the great equalizer in life is allowing us all to just be human and taking um, human and unique and taking that word special and putting it someplace else and saying we're just all good because we were born and we exist and there's a natural goodness in being a human.
Mhm.
And if we can avoid all these different pitfalls that turn good people into bad, because I really believe we're born good and something sometimes turns people bad. Um,
Yeah,
and
environments, relationship,
abuse.
actually,
But
not just
anyways,
tend to be who you truly were, but just who you have to be from the expectation, not the chance. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, expectations will destroy you. They will, especially when they're coming um,
Well,
coming from the outside,
yeah.
coming from the super ego.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Hanya said, she said, absolutely fascinating. It's is this thing is for and the bond between you two. Bless you. Thank you. And then she also asks a question that I find very interesting. She says, how do you approach religion with Piat?
Yes, yeah,
Because that's actually, and I've spoken about it, but that's something that we do together as parents. Um, and she has a lot of questions about it too because she's surrounded by it. Is there something that you had in mind that you I'll just say as her mom and has sorry, I've been clearing my throat a lot. I realize that as her mom and has someone who grew up in church and like she knows my background, like she knows that I used to go to church all the time. She knows that I have family that are part of the church and that are in the ministry. And so she understands that. Like she's asked questions about her friend's faith and why they pray before dinner or why they pray before meals. And I've found that the great thing about religion being around us constantly is that we are indeed confronted with those conversations very early on. Like it's always been part of the narrative. Like there's always been Noah's Ark book and, the stories of the Bible and everything. So it has always been in her peripheral, which was not something that was true for me. And I think that's also why it made such a big deal and such a big impact in my life when I was growing up, and why I wanted so much to be part of the church is because it was something very different. And then it was something that was seemingly giving me an answer to the direction I needed to take with my life. But for her, she sees it more of like, I see it, I've always known it, I know that it exists, but I understand it differently. And like, she came in the car the other day out of nowhere from school. I'm not entirely sure what happened, if it was mentioned at school, if a friend talked about it, but she was like, I really don't like the story of Noah's Ark. I think it was cruel, and I really don't like that God would just like drown all these animals and drown all these people and just only select a few. Like how, you know, how judgmental is that? Like how cruel is it? Like she just had this whole big thing. And first of all, I was very proud because I was like, this is amazing. My child is able to,
well,
you know,
that she saw past like it's supposed to. It,
the
it almost comes
mercy of
across,
the yeah,
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 mercy of like the 2 by 2 and all that kind of stuff, rather than like the
the
murder
wrath.
of the
Yeah.
blood of and because the Old Testament is a very bloody book. But I think that for me, we haven't tried and don't try to turn her to be anti-religion, or more than that, anti-God.
Mhm.
Um, I think that one of the things I've tried to do is have uh, discussions around the theology, so that if she did decide to become Christian, she has an understanding of like the Bible is not saying that um, people who are gay, as we understand it today, the Bible is not saying that they are going to hell. The Bible is saying something very different um, about um, about that, and also that the Bible was this idea that the Bible was written by God is BS, right? The Bible essentially was written by old white men and then put together, taking a bunch of books and putting together by a bunch of old white men, and we're letting it,
Were they white? Like
no, I mean a lot of them
like
were Jewish,
yeah.
but I I like to blame things on old white men. So that's a different thing. But old men, we'll say.
Well,
Uh,
men, just men in general.
yeah,
Let's just put it this way, like they're
So I think, yeah,
It's a patriarchal
I think,
book,
I think
collection of books.
helping her collect knowledge, not just saying, "Hey, we're not Christian. We don't talk about those things," or we're not. It's not that we're anti-Christian. I have a lot of friends that are anti or that are
Mhm.
Christian. We just try to be really honest with her. Um,
Well, I am very much anti organized religion personally.
mm,
And when I mean organized religion, I mean religion that are requiring you to give money to them so that they can have this building, so that they can do this, so they can do that. I am a big believer in community. I'm a huge believer in prayer groups if you want. Like if you find a park and you wish to pray together, love that journey for you. I find that beautiful. This is what I miss the most part of the church is the community that I had. What I don't miss is the requirement, the money that is poured into it. In Europe is different. In the US it's a business. It's a multi-million billion, sometimes even business. And that is the part that I do not like. What I think is very cool though is that because it is around us, it's kind of a great way for us to have these conversation, like I said early on, and to really sharpen to you know to yeah to sharpen Piot's values and ethics and morality. Like she gets to really be put in places where she has these stories and her own mind is coming to a conclusion of I don't agree with this because I find that cruel and I don't and so making her
well,
question thing is making
I think
her learn. I admire that. Yeah.
I think she also has a very natural skepticism of um, anything violent or anything that hurts anything. Like she very much believes in the right to,
Yeah,
or that,
goodness.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that all things have the right to exist. I mean, she fights me on killing flies and stuff like that. I mean,
Mhm.
she doesn't like that we spray our yard for mosquitoes. I mean, she, it's not hard to get her to that place because she's just sort of already there. And so when she hears a lot of these stories that don't line up with that value,
Hi,
she's
sweetie.
able to sort of say, no, that's not, I don't want to believe that. I don't want that. I
Yeah.
don't like that.
Yeah. Yeah. She's got a very sharp sense of good and bad.
It's a great moral compass.
Yeah. And that's real something.
Mhm.
That's something. Have you seen Taylor's Tomlinson's new show about religion? It helped me realize how God has such an impact in American families. Didn't know it was such a huge part of the American culture. Amazing and hilarious show, by the way. She is hilarious.
Yeah.
I relate to her a lot because we're right about the same age, and she's a woman. She grew up in the church. Um, yeah, it's a huge part. It's a huge part of your upbringing. That's what you do on Sundays. That's your community. That's, maybe sports that you're playing too outside of schools. Um,
Well, and then there's a lot in Middle Tennessee, there's a lot of Christian private schools. So I don't know how familiar the French culture is with private versus public.
well, they're a little bit, this audience at least is a little bit familiar with it because I did that video about, education in Tennessee.
Okay.
And so they know about public private schools. They know about the different laws and
There's a
everything.
lot of religion in school. Like I was surrounded by it all day, every day in school. And that was part of what started the journey was why are these Christians so mean to me?
Mm.
Getting bullied growing up.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
fair question. Great
so
question.
yeah.
Yeah,
You must be so proud to have a child like her. So, so proud.
yeah,
She's such an incredible kid.
yeah, yeah. I feel really grateful to have her in my like I feel very grateful to have a daughter that is her. I'm so happy that she is who she is and that she's challenged me the way that she has challenged me because, you know, I'm a I'm a mother's daughter, daughter's mother. Does Am I saying this? I don't know. Like I am the daughter of a mother and I am the mother of a daughter.
Mhm.
Like we share, certain bonds, certain trauma, certain things. And so it's been very healing for me and it's been very magical to just witness how just, a little human can be so uniquely themselves. And it's nice because, I have a great partner to do this with. And
Well, in the way that she's accepted me,
yeah, yeah,
as a second father, um,
it's,
she just
yeah,
you couldn't ask for a better daughter.
you can ask for a better,
I
yeah,
couldn't ask for
yeah.
a better daughter.
Yeah, yeah, it's very special. Y'all's relationship is very special, but she knows, like, she knows people. She doesn't F with people that she doesn't want to F with. And she knows very early on who will get her and who won't, and she doesn't gravitate around people that,
She'll fight for the ones that
yeah.
matter to
Oh
her.
yeah, 100%. And you
She's a
always
mini Sandy. Yes, they're both very stubborn
I don't know what
and
you're
easily
talking about.
distracted.
Yes, yes, that's true. We flutter. We're butterflies. We're just, he's got to keep us in a tight row. Little ducklings
She
following
goes off to do something.
constantly.
She goes off to do something I asked her to do. Just gets lost in her bedroom. You know.
You'll find her reading a book on the potty.
Well, yeah. It takes me 20 minutes to remember that I asked her to do something. So I'm not a whole lot better.
We're doing what we can. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Hey
Hey,
Charlie, do you understand French? Sorry.
oh
Cut.
no. Um, I no, I don't understand it. I'm watching some of these comments and I
Tu
think,
manges une orange?
tout le monde une orange. Um, yeah, that I said that too many times. I catch certain words, like I know, well, how do you say we?
Nous?
No, yeah, I recognize new,
Nous?
um, and there were some others that
It's
like I
Agnès
didn't pick
on
up.
YouTube. She's commenting in French if you're looking for those words.
Okay,
She said Agnès sur YouTube said Charlie semble
is
très sensible.
to speak.
Yes.
Yeah,
And réfléchit avant de parler. He thinks before he speaks. You can sense
try
the
to
sensibility and the confidence between you guys.
blue.
Le temps vous emportera encore plus et il, il a déjà très bien œuvré. Merci, merci. Yeah, she said that in time will bring more of this, and it's already done a great job. Honestly, I have to say, um, not to brag, but this is the best relationship I've ever had with anyone, period. Like I have a very long term relationship with Kelsey, my best friend from growing up, who's the one who brought me into the American culture, and we were about 3 or 4 years old when we met. So that was like over 30 years ago. So that friendship still persists. But we were both very traumatized children who trauma bonded, and so who still have a lot of healing to do on ourselves and together. But my relationship with Charlie is definitely the best and the healthiest and the closest to like a best friend, like the closest to the friendship that had been the best of my life, which was Kelsey's, you know but or at least the most one fulfilling, to like very open and very tolerant. And yeah.
They're
Hi
ready,
Sandy, hi Charlie,
they're ready
hello.
to give me some lessons.
La selle, oh là là, t'entends, la célèbre inconnue 2219 sur YouTube, hello.
What is poutine? I recognize that word. Gotta know the basics, aka use of
Gotta know the basics, aka the use of putain, putain.
putain.
Putain, it means fuck. Putain.
I know how to use fuck.
And I verified with the Twitch partner.
That
We can
I'm
say
allowed to cuss.
you are allowed to cuss, baby.
Oh shit.
You are allowed to cuss. She did clarify that we were not allowed to say any kind of slurs, and I was like,
Oh
I think
yeah.
we'll be good.
Yep. That
But yeah.
we don't want to do that.
Mathilde, coucou les amoureux. So nice to have both of you. How are you? We're so good, Mathilde, and we're so happy to see you from YouTube. We're so good. We've been chatting for about an hour now. We talked about religion. We talked about how we talk about religion to Piot. We talked about Charlie's background in politics as a Republican. What? This is going to be how we do the intro of this. Sensational Charlie works the White House.
He
Um,
was a Republican.
he was a Republican, but then fell out.
Actually, I worked in the East Wing.
Yes. Yes.
Freaking Trump tore down that
Yes.
jackass, and now there's just a big hole in the ground.
There is just a big hole in the ground.
Freaking idiot.
Yeah. Freaking
It's just a tool.
He really is. He's not a tool because he's not even
It's
as useful as a tool.
to
Sorry.
Voting Rights Act. Just came across a story about it. Yeah, I know some about it. I think that I think the biggest thing I'd say about that. George W. is who placed John Roberts as Chief Justice in the early 2000s, and I think because he stayed out of the news and seems like he seems like he should be a nice guy. I don't know. He had a really good reputation when he was going through his confirmation, and he has just turned into. I mean, he's been trying to crush all laws against discrimination because he thinks that you know stopping discrimination has to start here. The problem is that while he's correct. We have to play, like history has shown us that we have to put laws in place to protect against discrimination because humans can't be trusted to do it on their own. And so I think he has quite possibly will go down as the biggest mistake or the biggest negative impact of George W.'s presidency, even beyond the wars. I guess it's hard. I guess it's hard to go against the charge that has the deaths and violence. But he may go down as the second worst thing that of George W.'s presidency.
Well, and it's the impact on the long term. That's the thing.
Hopefully he trips and falls into the big hole.
Yeah. You could be kicked out of.
Yeah, we don't want to end up in a prison cell with James Comey.
No, Shushu. I think he's okay for now. Shushu, hi. James Comey seems to be, the Cash Patel came out and said that they had this whole thing about him and they did this an investigation of. He said
Cool.
9, 10 months, and it was like, bro, one day, you literally came out of nowhere. I know.
Cash Patel and Pete Hegseth and
He-
is it Stephen Miller? Is he the other one? They are
yes,
the worst thing, the worst of masculinity in this world.
100%.
I mean, just tools, like just absolute douchebaggery. Anyway,
It's yeah.
I don't understand how you can suck as much as those guys suck.
Yeah. Agnès is leaving us. She might be already gone, but she said she felt really proud because she understood way more than she thought she would.
Oh, good.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, I love
that. Mathieu says, we love a smart boy who can change his mind. Yes, we do.
That's the other thing that I don't understand why it's so hard for people to change their freaking minds about things. Like, you accept inputs, you consider them, and then you make a decision about stuff. Like, I didn't go to grad school expecting to come out of it or deciding I wasn't going to be a Christian anymore. I went into it and I asked hard questions and I considered and I pondered and I came out the other side not religious. I like They're
Yeah.
dumb ego. Yeah,
Yeah.
or just being dumb.
Yeah.
Maybe some of both.
Yeah. Well, dumb ego, some of both. The privilege that comes sometimes with just not asking questions.
Well, and that's
That's a
and
huge thing.
well, and not never being forced to, never having to, because your
Yeah.
life doesn't push you towards asking those questions.
SC's asked a question that I find very interesting as well. I'm going back to make sure that we see the questions on YouTube. C, impressive to see how he grown up while Charlie was a Republican. Well, the thing is that if you are white and you were born in the
Well,
South, you're most likely potentially,
so
especially if you went to church.
so when I was a Republican, it was not a party controlled by extreme nationalistic Christianity.
Yeah, and that responds to SC as well.
Yeah, and and so like my grandfather was one of the earliest Republicans in Middle Tennessee, back when Democrats controlled the South.
Well, and to say that too, like I've explained this to them as well, but the parties flip-flopped in their ideologies
Mm-hmm.
throughout history.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a time where the South was controlled by the Democrats, who were the racists,
I mean, the
uh,
Republicans are the party of Lincoln, right? The
right.
Republicans are the party that freed the slaves. Um, and so, as my papa would say, we were socially more moderate to liberal, but economically
Conservative.
conservative. And so, a lot of republicanism early on, and Reagan messed up, but a lot of what Reagan was focused on was the economy, and a lot of the reason we give him a lot of credit is because the economy did very well during that time. Now he got pretty lucky, um, but it it was not like the focus was not abortion and
Well,
um,
I,
gun rights. I mean, those things were there, but it wasn't. Some of these extreme social issues were not what made my family Republicans, and they're not the reason that my father, while he has not voted for Trump, God love him, he's stayed a Republican for a lot longer than me. Um, it's the mindset of don't come and take all of my money. I hate giving my money to the government. Not I hate women and people of color and a lot of these messages that are coming out of the Republican Party now.
now, yes. Well, and that's the very complicated, part to understand because La Célébrité Inconnue on YouTube says that too. She says, for me and for French people, Republicans really are like Front National, and that is so impressive to see someone who changed his mind so much. But then again, like the Republican Party into the 2000s was not as extremist as it is today. It was on a path. Like
They had already started courting.
Yes. I mean,
Uh,
Reagan, this whole thing where he just came out and he was against abortion is because a big chunk of his donors were evangelic, pastors, churches, whatever, lobbyists, if you wish and may. And so that is why it became one of the kind of like the becking call of the Republican Party is because they needed something. They had lost on a lot of front. Like, the Republican Party was, I guess, connected to the Ku Klux Klan. Like, it was connected in part. Like they shared ideology, they shared something, but there is like the movement, the conservative movement that we know now kind of like as the MAGA, has been created in response to civil rights. And so, you know, I think for a really long time, um, like in history of the Republican Party, I don't think that it's fair for anyone to compare them to the Front National because that would not be factually true. But they have now gone as far as an extremist party, for sure. Am I the only one hearing some kind of little cracking, some I'm not
It
sure.
might be my chair or something.
Yeah.
And also, I'm fidgeting with a chip clip.
Yeah, I'm sorry, and I hope it's not me either. I'm sorry I didn't know that much before it was the way I saw it. No, and don't apologize for asking questions. Like that's the whole purpose of the lives that I do in this live as well. Like we want to ask ourselves questions and and talk about different things and there's a lot of things that now we see on news that we never paid attention to, speaking like as a French citizen. Like I paid attention to US news because I had an American culture around me and I had friends and everything. And like we were all paying attention during 9/11, but we haven't really paid attention at their politics all that much. Like we excluded ourselves from the Iraq war, we excluded ourselves from Afghanistan, like we stayed out of all of this for as much as we could. And and then you turn on the TV and you realize that there's an extremist party at the head of the
Controlling,
White House.
controlling all
it's,
cognitive dissonance. Yes.
it's not either of you. It's very microphone's kind of cracking sound, so it's not you. It's the
Morgan has some good
I
point.
wonder if it's because the sound was on too loud.
No,
I'm
don't worry
having
about that. Look at
okay.
look at her.
Fun fact, people won't usually change their minds. You can read the comments too for everybody.
Well, you do.
I'm not the
You have a pretty voice.
Oh my goodness. Fun fact, people won't usually change their mind easily because of things like cognitive dissonance, confirmation bias, the brain's tendency to stick to its existing patterns. So it often takes something pretty strong or unexpected to really shift that or intentionally psychological work, even when they're proven wrong in every way possible. Yes, it's a type of protection because then you have to, when you're speaking of ideologies, you're speaking of self and the individual. And so if you are questioning something, of your ideology, you're questioning yourself, your identity. And so that can unravel a lot.
Well,
Hello.
and it can unravel. Yeah, and it unravels relationships.
Yeah,
It can
yeah.
drive you away from your
It can
parents, your partner. I
it
mean, it can
can
lead to divorce.
it can lead to mental
Uh,
illness. It
yeah.
can lead to,
Well, and it's a much harder path. I mean, I was certainly a lot more comfortable back in the early 2000s, um, because I wasn't looking at the reality of a lot of
yeah,
this. So,
yeah,
um,
yeah,
also, I love to fidget with those clothespins. Yep,
yeah.
clothespins are great. How
The
do you
new
explain why?
Hold on, just let me respond to the Luna Veil. Sandra, can you turn on the subtitles after the stream, please, for this next streams? Yes, yes, I am on my way to figuring this out. But if you do go on Follow Your Bliss on YouTube, you are able to restream the live that has been on for like about an hour and 14 minutes now and have the subtitles there. But I will make sure later on to have the subtitles even in the live version. Sorry.
Well, somebody asked,
Didn't
how do you explain
didn't
why
post.
Republicans have become so extreme? I think that I don't think it's just Republicans. I think that the world has become more extreme. I think social media has given us outlets to that, in the early 2000s, in politics, they started looking at wedge issues, right? And wedge issues are an issue like abortion that basically shove people away from each other, and it rallies your people towards a cause. And that's one that Republicans have used. Republicans are really great at focusing on 4 or 5 issues and saying this is why we need to get to the polls. Abortion's one, gun rights are another. Um,
Transgender.
and it hurt. Yes, yeah. And it one of the things that hurts liberals, that hurts the Democratic Party, is that because they care about so many different people, or as liberals we do. You could say what you want to say about Democrats. That's sort of separate. but we care about so many different people. That means that we care about so many different issues, which means that we are not as singularly focused, which makes it a lot harder to motivate people.
Mm-hmm.
And the Republicans are great at that. But I think that social media and bot accounts, and I think, you know, I have some thoughts on Russia and China's impact on us through social media and what we're seeing. And yep.
Can't hear you guys. Hold on. That's bizarre. We keep messing with the you're getting far from the microphone, so
I am.
we love, yeah.
Can you hear me now?
It's gonna take
Anyways,
you. There's a delay,
I
yeah.
so um I think the enemy, if you were to take it out of the political, just the political realm, I think the enemy is extremism. And I think, a lot of the reason that I changed my mind on certain things was because of my education in history. And I remember one time I learned that I was told that taught that the political spectrum is not a straight line, right? Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, right? The political spectrum is actually more of a circle. And when both sides become extreme, they are very similar to each other. So think
Mm-hmm.
Nazi nationalism and
Soviet Union.
Soviet Union's communism. And inevitably, all radicalism leads to death and destruction.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fear for me isn't Republicans in and of itself. My fear is extremism on both ends, and I think that these things like wedge issues were being shoved apart, and I think social media has played such a large and dangerous role on this, and it's given voice to so many people that are trying to shove people apart in order to make money and make a name for themselves. That um, we 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 have to find a way to come back towards the middle in our politics in order to have it doesn't mean we can't disagree, right? I'm never going to agree with somebody who believes abortion is wrong. I believe in a woman's right to choose, but I still need to be able to have conversations with people I disagree with so that we can continually move the needle forward,
Mm.
because it's never going to be all liberals or all republican or all conservatives, right? We need some moderateness in our world where we can have actual conversations that um, allow us to make American lives better, make lives for all of us better, not sort of fighting about all these sort of external things that, like trans, that
Transgender in sports, that's their big thing,
like
which
why
is
are we
huge.
fighting like college sports? The number of transgender athletes in college sports is like it's like 2 for every 5,000 athletes or 10,000 or some absurd, but because it upsets people who don't understand, it's a great issue for Republicans to go after. And it leads to more and more fighting.
Well, I want to say something about like y- and it relates very much to what you're saying about how we need to be, communicating with each other. But says, like, how do you explain why Republicans have become so extremist? I think it's like the old tales of the frog, like the boiling frog.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they've been put in this spot from birth almost. Like, you are born a Republican, you will be a Republican. Like, it is in a lot of families not something that is questioned, and so you're in this pot, and then someone turns on the heat, someone, like Trump, who's changed all of the codes of the Republican Party, has caused complete disarray, and a huge fracture. Many, many Republicans have come out of the party saying, I want nothing to do with what Trump is saying and what his party has become because these are not my values. But there are a lot of people that have remained in the pot because, one, that's always the pod that they've lived in. Why would they move out the pod? Like, their friends are there, their family's there, and so they all just stay there and they comfort each other, in the suffering, telling themselves, well, like we must be right because we're all here still in the pot as they're boiling. And so, I think that that's where we come in as like fellow lovers of humanity. Be like, listen, you're in a freaking boiling water pot. You need to get out. And let me tell you how exactly you can get out of this pot, or like, let's have a conversation about how you can climb out of this pot because it is not good for you. um and um and yeah, just get the like everything to cool down and find a middle ground again. And I want, yeah.
So the question, but how do we do it with people who don't believe everyone deserves the same human rights? That's where I struggle. And then and then someone else goes on to say, I told Sandy the other day, I have so much respect for people who can be that way and have conversations with people who believe that some basic human rights are wrong and some people shouldn't exist. I think part of it is so I don't know. And and I hope I try to say that as much as I can in life because I don't know. I don't have the
I
right
have
answers.
I have
Let me
okay.
I think that the point of the conversation should be for us to show people why they should believe in everyone's basic human rights. And we shouldn't ignore big issues or ignore where we disagree. It's trying to impact the way others are thinking about these things because for a lot of folks they've just never thought about it. They've been told from day one in church and at home that being gay is wrong, being a transgender person is wrong. And I think that if we allow those people to be human and have real human conversations with them, I think there's a chance we could change them. But we have to get offline. We have to be
Mm,
doing these things in person. We have to be
mm,
like being real with people. Um, and at the same time, I don't blame anyone who says, you know what, you don't believe in basic human rights, I'm not going to have a conversation with you. I'm fine with that too. I think we all get to choose what bullshit we let into our world and
yeah,
what we don't.
yeah, for sure.
But
Well, and there are conversations that you can have with some people, and there are conversations that you cannot have. And I truly believe that extremist movements um attract, people with sociopathy tendencies or like psychopaths. Like, I am a true believer that the worst of the worst of humanity are attracted by extremists. And so they're also going to be the loudest because that's what they love. They just love to, get something moving because they get bored. And so they make it seem like it's one, the majority of, Republicans or MAGA, and two, that there's no like communication that can be had, like, and it's truly not a reality. It's like there's a lot of people that, and it's true too, I believe, in France, that are just brainwashed into believing these things. And I do believe that because growing up in a religious background and also identifying as a Republican at some point in my life without even being like knowing of politics in America, I was Christian. I was going to be a Republican. Like, I was told. Um I was literally told what my party was going to be when I became like an American citizen. Um and so, um, yeah, like being around these people and recognizing their humanity and being like, hey, like, I get it. You're in a cult. Like, we don't have to talk about the cult, but let me just, as we are, poke holes into your beliefs. And I know that's how I navigate some of the relationships that I have with the people that we're surrounded by here. I try not to be around people that do not have fam similar values, but we encounter them all the time. And
so I think sometimes, is that Pauline?
Put in,
Yeah,
yeah.
she brought up Palestine, her father. And I think sometimes you give people one shot to have a
Mm,
legitimate conversation
mm,
about something, and if it's clear that they don't care or they don't want to listen, I'll just shut up and move on. I mean, I think most of us deserve one chance, but you know, I
yeah.
I, I think that and sometimes I think just asking a question, I used to ask some Christians. I did this actually in a theology class that I took online the class was at a more conservative school than the one I attended, and we were talking about Jesus and the cross and something like that, and all I said was, um, uh, well, what do you do with the violence and bloodshed of the cross? So you've got this person in Jesus, and it's supposed to be like this whole healing thing, and yet it required God such violence from God. Um, that's a whole other topic for a whole other day. But sometimes you just ask a hard question and you just let it sit and let somebody give people a chance to question the dissonance, work through the dissonance, and a lot of people won't, and oftentimes it's a fool's errand. Um, but I don't think that means that uh, it's not worth taking a shot
Mm.
sometimes.
Well, yeah, because I believe that they are still in like humanity of our parents, perhaps, or friends, or I believe it's still in there. Like they've been programmed to just spew propaganda. But sometimes when you can sit calmly, which is very hard when they question someone's humanity and, dignity of life and so on and so forth, but if you're able to sit there calmly and ask genuine questions that can be sometimes like out of the context of the trigger words, like that's something that I try to say often when we talk about religion or politics, is that there are trigger words that we've all kind of um, we're wired to respond a certain way, and Palestine is a very loaded word, and we should say it all the time and as much as we can, because it deserves to. The people of Palestine deserve to live and have a place to live. But it also means that there are a lot of people, as soon as they hear it, they're going to shut down. And so, you know, it's like, it's how far are you willing to do it until like you choose and also realize it is not your responsibility.
I think that's maybe the whole point.
Yeah.
It's like all we can do is what we can handle, and then there's just times you have to walk away.
Yeah.
And I've had people who walked away from relationships
Mm,
because of it, that
mm,
they had such an issue with the moral difference,
yeah.
and you know, I I don't know that there's a great answer other than you do what you can and you try to have an impact, a positive impact, and then you say F it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and some of it is accepting that people are who they are and they don't want to change.
Yeah.
And then we keep having conversations with the ones that show that they do or
Yeah.
that they're willing to consider
Yeah. Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But somebody asked, "Are you still a believer?" Um,
My bad.
do you assume if someone says believer that they are a believer, that they are Christian? If they ask you if you're a believer,
I will say 90% of the time it's been the case
mm.
when I'm
Or
being asked.
they're a former Christian?
Either they're former Christian or they're at like, you know, Christian, yeah. Um,
So I think
well,
yeah.
define belief, because she didn't say, "Are you still
I
a
mean,
Christian?"
I assume
She said,
that's
"Are
what
you?"
it means
Yeah,
because that's what it's always meant. In America, that's what it's always meant is if you're a believer, there's not another option. It's not like, do you believe in the Quran or, the Muslim God? Um,
Allah.
but
It's the same
yes.
God. We share a God.
Yeah, I don't know that Christians
Well,
would say that.
the Muslims, I believe, say that.
There's a disconnect in
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
We don't share God. This is
They think our God is well, they
Do you
think their God
believe
is
in
what?
our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? Oh, I don't want to talk about that. I'm not saying that being queer, trans, okay.
But even though it was in another universe, they will still humans. Sorry if you already said that. It's difficult for me to understand spoken English correctly. I'm not saying that being queer or trans is a disease. It's not.
I'm not following that.
Well, when you say I'm not saying something, then it implies that you are saying it. um, and I do believe that there are cultures out there that think that. But you know, I believe in humanity, period. I believe in how humans are so different in the way that, you know, they just are. Like freaking goodness. Do you see the planet we live on? Do you see how the universe works? Like, how can a human not be also so complex in so many ways? And, you know, be all so freaking different.
Thank you, Morgan, because now I have the Believer song from Shrek stuck in my head as
Oh
well.
yeah.
So,
I think about Belieber. I think about Justin Bieber. I'm like forgetting his
oh, I
last
think
name.
I think what she means is if aliens existed in the end, queers and trans people would still be considered humans.
I think what she meant, if alien existed in the end, queer and trans, would they still be considered humans? Ooh, what?
I think
That is a really strange hypothetical.
I think I think I think the idea is that if no, I really don't saying it's
Well,
not in my bed. So I'm just a person who thinks it's so. I think there could be a translation
I'm
issue
just
there.
thinking perspective without
It's all right.
necessarily.
We don't need.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
don't
Well,
need to go
playing
down the
devil's.
rabbit hole.
Yeah.
We believe that all people are humans and worthy, and that well, I say we. I know I do, and I think you do too.
Well, 100%.
That you know that, and that's the thing that I don't understand about Republicans is that the whole point of the Republican Party for so long was that um, they want to just be left alone. Like you don't want to be told what to do by the federal government. They don't want to have to pay a bunch of taxes. Just leave me alone. Let me live my life, which is exactly what most people, transgender people,
Are
LGBTQ plus
advocating for.
people, people of color. That's all they're advocating for is like just leave me the hell
Yeah.
alone and let me be who I am. Like let me choose. Why do you care what's on my effing passport?
Yeah.
And I think that's the part about that really I think ended up driving me away from being a Republican, or one of the things is that I was like, the whole
Yes.
point to what I was taught is that, you know, I'm not supposed to give a shit what you want to be. As long as you're not being violent and hurting someone else, you should be able to be what you want to be.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why is that so freaking difficult?
Yeah. Caho cleared out what the lunar veil was probably trying to say. She said, I think maybe they meant that even if it was a disease or something, we should, you know, that could be cured because that's the narrative. Like you can go into therapy and, you know, you are not gay now all of a sudden. You know, we should still consider them as a human. Yes, yeah, but the problem is that for them, like they see as it's something that needs to be cured, that they need to get rid of, that is, you know, a parasite to the system, that is not um allowing them to be righteous or to be good enough in the eyes of one, you know, the community, but especially God, which is what they're trying to impose is their power over people under the name of God. Um so you know, and and they clarified, you know, they asked if they were talking about Christianity and like if we were still if you're still Christian. And I think, you know, the answer is kind of clear. I think no.
No, my thoughts on God changed a lot, and I think there's a part of me that really hopes that when the end comes, that there's some grand place with this godlike figure who loves us and settles all of the brokenness in us, and that I get to spend the rest of eternity with my loved ones. And like, I hope there's something like that.
It's like the nightingale coming to save the
I
princess.
think it's more likely that it's just like dust to dust and we're gone and that's it. And we have to, the goodness is on this earth. And
We
like
have to
my
nurture.
papa once told me that heaven is love. And I remember at the time thinking he was crazy. He didn't think there was a heaven and a hell, that loving on earth was what heaven was. And now I'm like, God, that's so good. Like, yes, there's a very good chance that heaven is loving people and loving yourself on this
Mm,
earth,
mm,
and that there's nothing that comes next.
yeah.
Um, but at the same time, God, it would be so much cooler if there was something awesome that comes next. I just don't believe that it's going to exclude all the people um, that so many Christians think will be excluded.
Yeah.
I think that the whole point to it is, if there is a heaven, that we all get a chance to sit with God and have conversations, and you know and try to find forgiveness for the things we've done wrong on earth.
Yeah. I think for my part, like I'm not a Christian anymore. Um and I wonder if Papa was a reader of Carl Jung, I don't.
Oh, Young,
Yeah,
the
the yeah, yes. Um because I know that like he talks about it that way, like how hell and heaven is here, and it's how we live. It's our consciousness is how we've chosen to live our life and our true self and our authentic self. Like, we're not guaranteed. We don't know. I don't know um I don't know what's after this life. I have no idea if there's a hell or a heaven. What I know is what I have right now. I know that I want to take care of it. I know that I want to cherish the life that I have, but moreover, I am a mom. And I think that's what also deconstructed my faith, is because I have gone, you know, I've gone into motherhood with a perception of parenting that was very flawed, with like this characteristic of like an authoritarian parent, like a parent that you fear, that you respect, but it's out of fear. It's not out of, like mutual respect or something that is healthy. And I think that I've kind of began to compare my parenting to God as the father, and I've broken kind of from his parenting, thinking you have shown cruelty kind of over and over, and I understand where people see that there's mercy and grace and love and all of that. But what I think is that I've seen Noah's Ark, I've seen Job's life, or I've read about them, I haven't seen them. Even Jesus' sacrifice on the cross was humiliating, and he could have done it many other ways. So I think that there's a big part of me that think, as a mom, I could never see myself put my child through such sorrows, and my children, more so. So I think that's kind of like what broke me, where I was like, this does not feel healthy, and this is not what I believe to be love. Because people say God is love, and I'm like, that's not love. That's punishment, and punishment is, that's punishment is not discipline. Discipline is love. Punishment is cruelty. I'm like, yep, 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 I don't know.
I need
Unless
lunch.
you need lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you gonna keep going?
um are you gonna come back? Do you want to come back?
Maybe.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to continue for just a little bit. I do need to go to the bathrooms soon, though. I think the Pope is great on how he responds to Trump lately. Yeah, I agree with that. Um, in my opinion, hates should not be politics. Yeah,
I want to eat something.
He might be back, and we'll see what happens from here. And then I might, I might leave, I might go, I don't know. We'll see. See what's on the menu here. I think the Pope is great on how he responds, sharing the real values of humanity and the compassion that's so important. I don't know how he is on the LGBTQIA plus community question. Again, I'm atheist, so not an expert, so don't know if he does everything right. I have no idea, and I've never really followed the Pope because I grew up Baptist, and so we do not believe in the Pope. We do not believe in Catholicism. We believe that they're actually a cult, and they are not leading people towards heaven. So I was never taught to listen to what the Pope says, but I know that a huge chunk of the Christian community in the States is Catholic, and they do care very much. And I think that even as like a no longer Christian, used to be Baptist, did not care about the Pope, I find his authority undeniable. One, like, first, like, he's the freaking Pope. Like, I'm not gonna take that away from him. And his influence right now extremely important, and I'm very um I don't know I don't want to say glad, because I'm never glad that someone else died so that he could become Pope, you know what I mean? Like, and mm, I don't know anything about the other Pope before him, but I think that in the fact that he is American from Chicago, that's a huge deal. And it matters to American big freaking time. And it matters to Trump. And so it is in part a little bit, at least, healing, or it creates a little bit of a hope, of a sense of hope, when I see the messages that he's shared, um, either on social media or during his sermons, and really tries to put humanity back at the center of his message. And I was very scared. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I thought, wow, like the Catholic Church is going to be deciding the course of 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 humanity. And like, that's how I felt. Like, I understand that Christianity and Catholicism and the Pope's role, in his personal values and beliefs, like the way that they handle their papacy matters a lot. And I was very scared that we were gonna, you know be that position was going to be filled by a bigot, or by someone, because, I mean, gosh, we know that the Catholic Church's got plenty predators, and so on and so forth. Princess City, hi from friends. Hi, darling. How are you? Sandy, I really appreciate your content. If you're comfortable answering, could you share any advice on dealing with or distancing yourself from a toxic parent, especially one with narcissistic traits? It's very difficult to live with someone who wants to control everything you do. Um, in a cult, is it really that extreme? I'm going to answer your question, Linz. Yes, but yes, the Baptist church I grew up in genuinely believes that every other. First of all, we do not believe we are a religion. If you are Baptist, Popo. I'm sorry, I'm seeing, hi, Mademoiselle Pouet Pouet. I'm seeing some new followers. Thank you, Princess City. Thank you, Megan. Welcome. Um, so yeah, in the Baptist faith, we do not believe we're in a religion. We believe we're in a relationship with Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. We believe that all religions are cults, in fact. And we believe we are the exception to the rule, because we're not a religion. And so that's the premise. And everything else is evil. Everyone else is going to hell. Like, it doesn't matter if you're a Christian from any other kind of church. And sometimes, like, I grew up with, like, very, like, and it's not true for every churches. It is not true for every Baptist. There are different denomination or of evangelical churches who believe very different things. Like there are more flex ones. There are some that do not play music in their churches because they believe that music is evil. And there are some that, love music and will have like a mini concert every sermon. There are some that believe you should not be wearing pants as a woman, and there are some that think that's foolish. But the main thing is that we are not, that Baptist and the Bible that we believe in is the true path. So, Mazari, hello from Paris. Hello, hello, hello. And then so, yes, I understand the Pope before had good parts, especially supporting Palestinians and calling the church in Gaza every week. That's only what I know, as I know Palestine's news related, and um, and that is a huge thing too. Like, um, um, that's huge. That's huge because we forget, because it is um you know because it's in the Middle East, like because we're thinking Palestine's Jews and they're like, they're Arabs. People are thinking, oh, they're Muslims. Actually, there are Palestinians who are Christians. Like there are Arabs who are Christians. There are Arabs who are like all sorts of faith, who are atheists. And it's such a small-minded thing to think that there would not be Christians there, Um, but also, yeah, and so very important that the Pope, reminds that to the Christians out there, which a lot of the people here, the evangelical Christians that surround us, and it is not a majority in the states, but it is a big chunk in a red state as ours. They don't see it, they don't believe it, they just, it cannot be a thing. How did your parents feel about you growing up as a Baptist? Well, um, so um, my dad grew up in the Catholic Church, but I do believe he was abused in the Catholic Church, and he has very, like, he does not like churches at all. My mom didn't go with us for a while, and then she came later on. I was 7 years old when I started going. And my sister went with us. My brother started going a little bit after he was younger. So it took a little bit longer for him to start going, and he stopped going before I did. Um, my mom goes to church. My sister is a pastor's wife. My brother-in-law is the pastor of the church that I grew up in now. So it is, in our family. So it was not like a particular thing. It was not like, just a particular thing that I was going through. Like we as a family, the four of us minus my dad, we're going to church every Sunday. And so that was like a shared experience. Um, but I was not allowed, like, I was not allowed. I could have probably, but like, or like, I was asking permission to get baptized in the church, and like, my dad wouldn't, like, I don't know that my mom got baptized ever because, like, for some reason, there's like a permission thing, and like, it's just a weird vibe. I don't get it. Um, but so yeah, it's very weird because like there's one part that is like huge into the church because they are in the actual freaking ministry, and then there's like another part that, like, my brother doesn't go anymore, my dad's never went. He uh, I don't know, seems to have gone more lately, but I don't know. And um but I know that it was, I felt divided all the time because I always wanted to be in my dad's good graces, and I really wanted to be his favorite. Like I wanted to be seen by my dad. And so I know that that was personally a really big thing where, um, um, he never really supported a lot of the things that I did growing up, and I was very active in the church, and I would sing solos at the church. I was in the choir, but then, like, he never came to see me perform. So there was like a very big split there. But I tell him, did your relationship with your sister and your mother change since you left the church? Or like, did you get closer to your dad? Maybe, I don't know. It's maybe too personal. We're speaking English, so it's not so bad for me to say it. Or I feel more comfortable somehow. And I want to go back to this. Lynn's 16. I saw your question. I want to answer it. I would rather Charlie be back if he's going to be back. So I'm just going to answer to a few questions, see if he's coming back on to answer that question together, because I think that he would have a lot to say about that. But I do also. Um, I don't want you to feel like I'm ignoring you because I'm not. So did my relationship with my sister change? My relationship with my sister's always been very complicated because she's the eldest. I'm the middle child. I grew up with a lot of expectations on me to more so behave like my older sister. Um, and I was incapable of, because I am not my older sister and I have ADHD and I have a very creative, high functioning brain that requires um, supervision a lot, sometimes a lot more than my sister did. And so I was getting in trouble a lot. And I remember being asked many of times, why can't you be more like your sister? So it created a dynamic of competition between us. We were also 2 years apart, but I was the same height as her until I surpassed her height when I was in junior high, like in college. And so um, I never had a very strong relationship with my sister, although we did share a lot of very good times when we were teenagers. She left to Bible college when I was in second, I was 15 years old. And hold on, Miss Quinn, she's she's messing with my chair. Um, and when she left for college, actually we grew a little closer because I felt less like the ugly duckling of the family. She was no longer there, so I didn't feel like I needed to compete with anybody, and my relationship with my mom improved there too. And my behavior improved as well. So um you know more so her leaving changed kind of the dynamic of the family and our relationships. But I've never had, unfortunately, a very deep relationship with my sister because she is so religious, and because I know what she believes and I know that she believes it to be the truth. I feel a lot of judgment. I feel a lot of shame around her. I feel disconnected. I don't feel like there's a lot of conversations that we can have either, because we just do not share the same kind of um, um, you know, belief system, and the same anything. I'm in the States. I live in a red um in a red state. I'm divorced. I had sexual relationships before I was married, and I had some, after I was divorced, and with that's more than frowned upon. So that creates something there. And yeah, like core values, I guess. Yeah, yeah. And like, not that not that my sister and my brother-in-law and the church that I grew up in believe um some of the stuff that the MAGA people like believe in. Like, I grew up in a community of people that genuinely care very, very much about the salvation of others, and that are, for the most part, like the people that I grew up in, good people. But I also, grew up around a lot of close-minded people as well. Um, he's busy eating. Yes. Share. Where is Charlie? They're asking about you, my love. He just went to have a little meal. As part of the question religion process, did you dive into Islam? Yeah, I did. I've read a couple. I mean, I've read extensive, long, like articles. I've watched podcasts about the Islamic faith. I've read a couple books also about it. I have the Quran in my house. I love. You know, I have ADHD, so I cannot sit and like kind of like dive deeply into something without having to go and like dive into other things also in the same time. But I have found that it is one of the topics um that really capture me. I think because I had growing up in France, growing up in the church, I had such a flawed view of Islam and of Muslims, and and of their faith, or y'all's faith. And I think that it's been quite illuminating to read about it and talk more about it, because it's, you know, shattered um a lot of the stuff that I believe in, you know. And I found myself really examining American culture with a different set of eyes now that I understand the Quran. And I say that because of how, you know, American culture has rejected um, I mean, any other religion than Christianity, sure, 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 but like, especially Muslims. And, you know, it is in part related to 9/11. And I often think of, you know, there's a streamer on Twitch, Hassan Piker, who's once said that, you know, America deserved what happened to it. And I don't believe that. Obviously, I don't believe that. And I don't believe that he believes that either. I believe that he meant to say that in the eyes of the extremists who came from like like I understand that in the Muslim faith, taking advantage of others and their money, their finances, putting them in debt is a grave sin. Like I understand now that you know, loaning money with a an interest is something that is considered really wrong in the Islamic culture. And I agree with that. I'm like, yeah, I agree with that. Like the capitalistic system is horrible for the people. It is absolutely horrible for the people. And I believe that, you know, the Quran has outlined like in more specific ways cruelty and um, greed in ways that um, I don't know, maybe I just don't read in the Bible. And I find that very interesting, at least. Bonjour Sandria, quelle surprise de te retrouver sur Twitch. Hello, hello, hello. Ce stream aujourd'hui est en anglais, comme tu peux le voir. Bienvenue. Euh, et je suis sur Twitch depuis... C'est la troisième semaine là que je suis sur Twitch. Je stream pratiquement tous les jours de la semaine. Mais aujourd'hui, on est dans un épisode qui est un petit peu spécial puisqu'on est en anglais. And my wonderful husband was with us for like over an hour, but he went to have a lunch. And so I'm just hanging out with you guys. You're so inspiring, Sandy. Thank you for sharing with us. You're way too kind. I'm um I'm just really excited about the conversations that we get to have on here, honestly. And I'm really excited about having a community that have similar values as mine. And I'm just, you know, just excited about trying to cut the division between us. Aucun souci, j'arrive à comprendre. That's awesome. Absolutely very misunderstood. And like any other push to the extreme side is always not giving the right side of it. 100%. 100%. Um, that's and that's such a big thing. Like, um, I saw that comment that was la célèbre inconnue sur on YouTube was saying that that's strange how Americans believe in a God and how much they don't know about human rights. I do not mean that none of them worry, but the image I've got is so strange. Um, yeah, I believe that that's not just, you know, an isolated case for Americans. I believe that that's true everywhere in the world. Um, but it is multiplied in America because America's already an extreme with it, like in itself, and or at least the envelope has a, you know, the idea of America has been pushed to an extreme now with the administration that we're in, and and so it looks like it's the whole freaking country. Um, Okay, now I will really start listening. Hey, I know this wasn't for me particular, but thanks for the recommendation. Okay, talking to each other. That's so cute. Um, Ethel Kane's music's changed my life. Did it now? Tell us about it. Ethel Kane. So I'm not very familiar with Ethel Kane. I do understand, if I'm not wrong, that she is transgender and she comes from like a deep South state as well. I have come across some of her music on my playlist and I like it. I vibe with it. It's kind of like, you know, meeting you with Lana Del Rey. You've got that kind of America core, but also it is, you know, there's a an awareness that you don't find, I find in Lana Del Rey's music there. So yeah, as a Muslim and a hijabi, I agree, and I am happy to hear that. I'm following you for 10 years. Thank you, and thank you, Sab, for the follow. Thank you, Diorina, Deorin. I don't know if I have no idea. The problem of speaking two languages is I just, my brain never knows which way I'm supposed to pronounce things, and I just anyway, I'm probably going to be apologizing for the way I pronounce all of y'all's usernames forever. She left her Baptist church too, by the way. Yes, yes, I did hear that. I did come across that information, and I find that very, very interesting. And I'm telling you, the Baptist church, man, it's something. High interest riba in Arabic, it's forbidden because of consequence. Riba in Arabic is forbidden because of consequence. I'm not sure I understand what you're saying, Igarigu on YouTube, but I'm very curious to understand. But riba is interest. Riba means interest in, okay, is riba Arabic for interest? Yes. Yes. I love that. Riba in Arabic. Love that. I love the Arabic language. I understand nothing, but I find it, I just, you know, very fascinating and very, I just love listening to it because I just don't understand. So I'm like trying to imagine what, you know. Salut Sandria, tellement contente de te suivre sur Twitch. Te suis depuis très longtemps et j'adore le tournant que tu as pris. Je suis aussi passionnée de politique et d'actualité. J'apprécie énormément ton témoignage en direct des US. Thank you, merci, thank you. Hi, sweetheart. That's very kind of you to say, and I've really struggled those past few years to figure out exactly which direction I want to go because, like, I was part of the problem for a really long time, and um, I knew, you know, I knew what I didn't want to do anymore, but it's hard to figure out like which direction I want to take and how I want to, like, I want to do something that makes me feel fulfilled. And I know that that's like kind of like talking from a privileged like standpoint. Like I've always been fortunate enough to do things that I like and that I enjoy. Um, but yeah, just, just trying to make a turn and bring some people with me to go on this journey to reform the world, or just at least, find support within each, our community and everything. We need a music channel on Discord so we can share our recommendation with each other. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Morgan, this is something that I want to do. And I've reached out to a couple people, a few people actually, because I've reached out to my brother. I've reached out to some of my followers too to help me kind of like figure out how I can make Discord as fun as possible. Because I would love to do that. I would love to react to music. Like there's a new Noah Khan. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Noah Khan. He's a um more folk, American folk music from the north. And I love his music. Hello, Louis. Hello. And sorry, je voulais dire riba means interest in Arabic. Yes, I understood. Yes, we made it through. I appreciate it. And I did not know that, and I love knowing that now. Um, Hello, welcome, welcome. By the way, this live stream today is in English. You are, if you just, I forget to do kind of like, check-in points. If you've just landed here, if you're lurking, this is a special live stream in English. We're aiming to have those once a week. I am usually in. What I am usually blessed with the presence of my wonderful husband, who is taking a break to have lunch, and he went into the and apparently a little nap. So I think I think he's out for now. But honestly, keeping him here for over an hour is like he does not like to sit still very long. Or he likes to lay down. Maybe we should do the podcast laying down. Ooh, babe. Maybe we should do the podcast from our bedroom. He said, let me sleep. We also need an animal channel so we can see all the cute animals. Okay, so we need a music channel. We need an animal channel. What kind of channel do we need on our Discord? And we will make it happen. Also, Les Célèbres Inconnus, could you write the name of the singer you just mentioned? Yes. Well, let's see. If I type it this way, that should you should see it on YouTube as well. Ethel Kane, my dear friend. I just left it in the comments. It's spelled Ethel space Cain. Oh, and Noah Khan. Yes, ma'am. Noah Khan. I believe that's how you spell it. Always have a problem with his last name. Kahn, I believe. What is the topic today? Well, let me just no Khan. All right. That's the other artist. Ethel Kane was the artist that I was told about, that is transgender, that was in a Baptist church and that left the church. You're so welcome. And then Noah Khan is the artist who grew up in New Hampshire and kind of, oh gosh, Vermont, New Hampshire. Those are two neighboring states, and he kind of grew up on the border of those states. Um, Really good music, really good American folk, um, relatable music. Love it. And I was asked, what is the topic today? Well, we've been live for 2 hours now, and we talked about religion. We talked about you know what it's been like to raise Piat in um surrounded by religion, how we explain it to her. We talked all about religion today, honestly, and that's I like it. Christianity. Um and mostly. And yeah, so refreshing to see that there is a community out there who shares such deep values. And my God, see that we evolved together since your beginning on YouTube. By the way, I'm a 90s kids and I am here since your English channel. That is incredible, Rania. That's like OG OG. And yeah, it feels really good to find like a bunch of people online that share values that are like, I don't know, it makes me feel, it makes me feel really hopeful. It really do. Um, Forgot an A before, but if you search that name, it will come up either way. TBH. TBH. Seems like I'm late to the party, haha. I was at work. Yeah, unfortunately, it's really hard for us to do the lives a little later in the day. And and so unfortunately, like it really happens at a bad time where I'm about ready to leave when most people get on, Twitch or whatever. Um, what are your favorite channels on Twitch or on YouTube or we need a music channel, an animal channel, a news channel, a art channel. Dang, love that journey for us. Okay. All right. Hold on. I got my book over here. I got Miss Gwen. She came around. She's like, "Hey, what's up? There's a party here. I'm coming." What's it to me? All right, so you said I could also take a screenshot now. Wouldn't that be great? Um, we said music, art, animal, politics. We want a general links channel for things to watch on stream and a gardening. I love it. You're very general links, very organized channel. Yeah, we're gonna have to talk on Discord, Megan. Morgan, sorry. Um, Things to watch on stream and a gardening channel for lettuce. Do you want me to set up a camera in my garden to record the lettuces as they grow? We will just be there watching the lettuces. Yes, done. Well, I don't have cables long enough. um, I am really glad we had philosophy class in French cursus, me 100%, because it brings a lot of views and stares at how religion works around desire, love, communitarism. I'm I'm a thinking atheist thanks to it. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a huge, it's very big. And I think that we should have philosophy earlier on in our courses. I think that it should be in college where you really start to, and maybe, you just kind of place it. And if you have a good teacher, it is alongside, some of the history classes that you have. But I think that it should be, and I always thought that it was embedded in the French culture, like the philosophy culture, and I realized that that's just not true. Um, but I do believe that it is the antidote to culture wars, and it is the antidote to just, religion and propaganda and any kind of oppressive mechanism, like the capability to think for yourself and um, not be devoted to like a big, like, I don't know, you know like an idea that is that goes against some some goes against some of humanity. Always wondered if it was accessible for Americans youth as it is for French. No, absolutely not. Critical thinking, it is not something that is taught well in America, and it is one of the main reason why we ended up where we are today. In my honest opinion, like, um if you if you grew up in a good school, you may have had access to better teachers who, maybe kind of had that value in their system to, question and push critical thinking. Critical thinking is pushed in certain ways, but not past questioning, beliefs in the system and who we are and why we are and are we, and it's not something that you get to do in schools until you go to college if you choose to have philosophy classes. And it depends on like what school you're going to and what major you're going into as well. And yeah, we also need a food channel and a media one for books. Okay, all right. So we need food, we need books. It's true that books, like that is such a thing that I'm asked all the time, is what I read, what I watch. So media, books, um, we need a food one. I love that. Can share recipes. Documentary. Oh my gosh, documentary. Oh my God. Yes. Oh my God. Okay. I'm finally grasping the concept of Discord. I think it's happening right now. It's becoming reality and I'm excited for it. I got on there and I was like, I understand nothing, but we figured out how to place calls, so that was great. I'm gonna head out, but I did say that I would answer a certain question as a Muslim. Et incognito, sir. By the way, thank you for being here. It's the first time you were in the comments, so thank you. I really appreciate it. If you want to follow, if you're not following me just yet, hey, hi. If you're here lurking and you want to not miss any of my lives, mostly I stream in French. But if you wish to see me stream in English, just make sure you follow so that you don't miss out on our weekly stream. But honestly, I have to say it's been quite lovely to speak English because my brain is going through way less work and I am capable. I can feel to withstand um, a live stream a little bit longer. But I got to go back to the question that I saw, which was about. Oh, it's such an important question that. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. It's all the way. Is it all the way up here? Where you be? Damn it. Um, busy then we have to. Have we reached? We have, by the way. Yes, Ines is asked, can we recycle clothes channel? Oh my gosh, love that channel. Recycle clothes channel. Oh my gosh, do it yourself channel. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yes. Okay. And yeah, we have reached 1,000. We are actually at 1,022 followers right now, which feels like a very big accomplishment in just 2 weeks, 3 weeks. With I don't know how, I mean, again, I'm not starting from scratch, so let's be real. It's not like when I started in YouTube, but it took me a really long time to get to 1,000 on YouTube. Um, Congrats, thank you. Let's fucking go. Yeah, he's got beef. I'm sorry. That's just the way, but I got you validated. But the last question, and I'm trying to go back to it. Where are you? Sweet Caroline. Pum pum pum. Good times never felt so good. Ba 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 ba. Mm, mm, mm. Dang it. I mean, it was a question about, oh, there it is. Um, could you share any advice on dealing with or distancing yourself from a toxic parent, especially one with narcissistic traits? It's very difficult to live with someone who wants to control everything you do. Um, and we'll end with this, but I think maybe we should also go back to it for a longer period of time. I think the first thing I would say is you have to, when you realize that your parent is showing narcissistic traits and you suspect that, you know, you suspect what you suspect, you have to give yourself space to grieve it, because there's a big part of who you thought your parents were and now they're not. And I think that needs space to be healed. I think it's very important to weigh in your options when you decide to detach from your parents, because, um, you know, you have to kind of measure the pros and cons and see what is best for you and what you are capable of dealing with. I find that um, there's no good way ever to approach it. Um, there are more mature ways, perhaps, trying to kind of stay calm and neutral and distance yourself from them, trying to remain, um, you know, secure in your decision is a big thing, because they will throw everything at, at the wall if they really want to keep you and control you. And you have to, if you decide to make space, you have to understand that it is going to be very hard and is going to hurt a lot, and you're going to feel a lot of guilt and a lot of shame. A lot of people, if you talk to people about it, there may be people that do not understand or that judge you for it. So I'd be very careful with who you decide to share this information. Make sure that you find someone that supports you and that is there for you, that genuinely wants to see you thrive in life, and that is got no game, no horse in the game, that would gain nothing from you having a good relationship with your parent. And that's a big thing. That can be a therapist, but it can be a partner, it can be a friend, it can be a community. We're I would love, maybe we create a mental health. I don't know, but like I would love to be able to host a space for those questions and for those big decisions and moments in life where we find ourselves not knowing what to do, what is the next step, what would be, um, the best way to handle the situation and everything. And I've, um, I know a couple things, but I know that you guys know a crap ton more from other experiences. And so that's why, Discord is great. That's why creating this community is a blessing. But yeah, I would say, just if you know it in your heart of hearts, that is something that you're never going to be able to overlook. Like, it. It is a visceral thing. When you are in their presence, you feel your whole body shift. The whole vibe is different. It affects you. It is important to address it. It is important to remove yourself from relationships that genuinely hurt you and that do not make you progress in life. And if they're trying to control you, that is a huge red flag. And I would recommend you to definitely, um, you know, definitely consider what it all means for you and your safety. And if you do live with that parent, which that's what you seem to say, um, God, like, I would say the first thing is to move out. But I would never tell you to do something like that. But I would say, like, if you're in that position where you are under their roof, and like, can you move out? What is your solution out? Like, the only way you can get out of when it comes to, it's true for other relationships, but it's very true for parents. Like they will they believe that if you are under their roof, you're supposed to follow their rule. And their rule may be very broad, and that mean like your, bodily autonomy, and you have to be willing to make sacrifices if, you know, so, but I did stop my relationship with both of my parents, and it was hard at first. I would like to say that it is possible, and a better life is also possible. Yes, thank you. La Célèbre Inconnue on YouTube shared that. Yeah, and um, it is hard, and it will get harder before then it gets easier. And even, you know, ending any kind of relationship is hard, but when you know it's right, there comes a point where everything kind of settles in, and you're like, yeah, that was right. Like it was hard, it hurt, I felt this way. For me, it's a lot of guilt. It's a lot of guilt. I'm very far removed. Like my parents live in France. I'm in the States. I don't have to deal with the situation truly if I don't want to, because there is an ocean between us. But it doesn't mean that I don't feel all the feelings that come with the separation and the detachment that I chose. And but I know for me, and I'm not saying that this is permanent for me, but I know that for me it was necessary for me to be able to have the space to heal some of the wound that I had, because um you know became aware of the flaws of my parents and the flaws in their parenting, and the impact that it had on me, and the impact that it had on my parenting and then on my child. And I'm still learning to forgive my parents for their parents' mistakes. Hello, Noah Khan. Love you. That's quoted out of a song. um, I distanced myself from my father for years now, seeing him really rarely, and put in place some boundaries now, but I know how difficult and challenging it is to navigate it, plus the weight of others not being okay with that. But the most important is that you stand for yourself and your own well being. Yeah, sometimes it's the reaction of your siblings as well that can be just way more hurtful and way harder than anything. And maybe you don't have siblings, and maybe that makes it easier, or maybe that makes it harder because you have no one that can mirror you perhaps experiences. Although we know that you know every children experience different parents. Like we all are, we experience such a different reality as individuals from everyone else. That's, the parents that I had were not the parents to my sister, were not the parents to my brother. They behave completely different, so they have different memories and a different childhood, and they, different parenting. um and I understand, I was going to say something and I'm like, wow, red flag. The difficult part of it is that a lot of time the blame is put back on the child. It's like, well, yeah, but you didn't behave. Or like, yeah, but like you were difficult. Or like, oh, yeah, but you always wanted to be the center of attention. Like you were such a drama queen. Or like this and that. And it's like distancing yourself from that narrative as well, where you're like, yeah, but you were the freaking adult. Like you were the grown up in this situation. You, in the hierarchy of our family, you are responsible. And that's the guilt part. That's like putting it back where it should be. Like I was a child. I lived the experience that I lived. I, was on a path of repeating mistakes that I did not want to repeat, because I knew that that was not good parenting. And I made a choice that, perhaps because of, you know, the era we live in, or the people that came across my path, like I got out, I saw clear, I could become a better parent. You had the chances that you had, and I am not responsible for those. And I think that's like a big thing, is just, mourning expectations and the relationship. and the idea, and taking it one day at a time, bro. Like just one day at a time. Um, and remember that you are not wrong for desiring, needing a safe space. And it is not your fault that it was not given to you as a child, and that it is not, um, and that your household is not safe. Um, and never reflecting on their parts. Yeah, of course. Yeah, as we have to stay silent for their comfort and our own sake, the root of self abandonment. 100%. How do you deal with guilt trip from your parents? I've learned to recognize them, and to try to distance myself from them. Now I've cut communication from my parents, and I have not spoken to them since after my birthday. So it's been, and I spoke to them only a few times here and there in the recent years. Um, I stay quiet. I've stayed quiet when this has happened, and it was like live, like live action. I'm on the phone. We're having I'm trying to say something, and you're using guilt as a tool to maneuver the conversation, to steer it in your way, or just to you know make me see your point of view, whatever. I stay silent. I usually kind of sit back. I've learned to see it and to just not even, like, I'm not going to address it because it is not going to be conducive to the conversation. Like, if you're going, if you're like, oh yeah, but like, your dad and I only have so much time on Earth, like it, and you're like, yeah, like, I, you know, kind of let them sit with what they say when they say something that is like guilt tripping, is just allowing space for them to reflect without saying anything. um that doesn't mean you're going to get what you want, but that does mean that you just, because I know that for me, for a really long time, it was very easy to just like defend or attack or try to justify, or just like kind of try to regain control of, like, like, no, 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 no. And it's like, just no, like, this is not reality, and you're saying this, but I am going to choose not to let it affect me to the point where I react to it, and I, you know, either we get in a fight, or I bend to your will, or I'm like, no, it's say it louder. My gosh, it feels so good to hear. The guilt trip is insane. I will never understand. I will never understand, instead of reaching a hand and just accepting our experience. And well, yeah, and I think, that's when you kind of have to sit in your parents' shoes and understand that they only have the tools that they were given. And unfortunately, they didn't have parents with a lot of clarity when it came to um, what is healthy communication and healthy relationship, and what isn't. And um, and you have to understand kind of like where they are in the world. I think when I see the guilt tripping, like, I used to get very, very, very mad, and then I'm like, yeah, but this is the language that is used to get what they need. Like, this is what they have been taught to do to get what they need. And that is very freaking sad, because that then they operate from a very shaky ground. And um you know at least it gives me a lot of empathy for it, and I am able to kind of like distance myself from what I see clearly as kind of an attack, but understand that it is you know it's just immaturity. And when sometimes, hi Lomasa, no, dang it, tu m'as dit comment est-ce que lo, damn, damn it, tu m'as dit. Liv, yes. Hi, Liv. How you doing? Um, does it happen less since you do this? Again, I don't have a lot of conversation with my parents, but I know that I've changed my I've got plenty of narcissists around me. Like they're everywhere. And like if you have one in your life as like a close relationship, chances are they're more. Um, so yeah, I do practice that with any kind of person that I suspect narcissists, or any person that I see use that tool. Like it doesn't have to be my parents. It can be anyone that I see is using guilt tripping. Like sometimes it can be a friend, sometimes it can be your own child. And like I can't say to my child, I mean, sometimes I'll just point out, be like, girl, that's guilt tripping. And now she's mature enough, she's old enough to understand what it means. Um, Saying it to an adult where you feel comfortable enough to kiddingly be like, girl, what you doing here? Like sometimes that helps too. Like kind of completely just, they're throwing a bomb, you just take it, pull it out, and just be like, what you talking about? That's ridiculous. Why are you trying me? You know, and that kind of like softens the thing. That's something that I use. But yeah, the just like the quiet, like I am not acknowledging this as part of anything that's conducive, you know, because it ain't. It just ain't. And yeah, because it shows just their character and their limitation. Yeah, and like I said, like that's what I was wanting to say is that ultimately, of course there are people with pathologies. Like there are people that are, huge ass narcissists that will never break from that cycle. But there are also a lot of freaking like good parents who are just simply immature. And it's unfortunate because they are our parents and it is not our responsibility to teach them maturity. It was the other way around, but we've gotten to a place where now it is, they are our parents. Like, do we want to um disqualify part of the population because like you've made your bed and like you've had your chance? Or do we want to at least restore humanity in our parents and say, you show narcissistic traits, let's just say that, but like really you just show immaturity, like you're incapable of having an adult conversation. Like when we're talking about Palestine earlier, we were mentioning like big fights with parents over huge topics as like Palestine and humanity. That's a big like, there's no going back, there are other things where it's like guilt tripping. That's just the way they've always been taught to communicate, and that's how they've been getting what they need all their life. Like, I think of that. I think of the humiliation of having to guilt trip people into loving you. That feels hard. And, um, and so, sometimes it's just kind of like finding ways to have empathy for the older generations who have not had the tools that we did and were not able to deconstruct to the extent that we have. And, you know, just hoping for the best, man. My toxic narcissistic mom called right when we started talking about narcissistic parents. It's a sign I missed most of the conversation. I'm going to have to watch that part of the stream back. LOL, Morgan. Well, they know when to call, girl. They know when to call. Yes, exactly. The guilt trip is no more working on me because I just see the pattern and the imitation. Yeah. And I think, at the end of the day, that's really what it is. Like, you grew up with a narcissistic parent, they're going to be really controlling. And the response to that for a lot of us is either to be like, to want to do everything that they want us to do so that we can be in their good graces, or go the other way, like just like out of control, I'm regaining control of the situation. And I've actually found that um changing the way that I respond changed the way that they behave. Like, and therefore the interactions just change. Like, depends if it's a partner, or if it's a parent, an ex-partner might be, I don't know. I was gonna say it might take more effort to really get like an ex-partner out of your life, but that's not necessarily true. Um, but usually it's a supply thing. Like, you can see narcissists as vampires. What they seek is energy. Energy is your time, energy is your voice, energy is like everything that you give into them. Like, and if you choose not to get caught into that trap, or if you choose to exit that relationship, that means you're going to need to cut their supply. And that means that you may not want to answer Morgan, you may not want to answer their phone call, but also you may not. I'm not pointing you out, like pointing fingers. I don't mean it that way. I'm just kind of kidding with you. But like, it's gonna mean changing your patterns. And once you do, first of all, there's like the big blow up because something's different, and they're not going to like something that's different because they have a pattern and a routine, and it goes that way, and they lead it because they control it. And if you break the pattern, it's not going to end like well at that time. But eventually they get tired. Like, if you just stop supplying them, they get tired, and you know they move on. God bless the soul of the next person they target, but they will move on. And when they move on, it may still not be great for you. Like, it may be fine, but it may not be. And that's where self-building is very important, because, you rebuild yourself as a person without that relationship, without that parent, and you decide that um, they do not get to dictate who you are. Like, they may be saying things about you, like, God only knows, like, what an ungrateful child that they're leaving me in my old age and everything. And it's like, I know what I lived, and I don't need to prove it to anybody, not you, and not the rest of the people that you may be telling, so many different things about me. And so, yeah. Hey, yes, because how we react or respond is our part in the relationship, right? I discovered it last year too, instead of trying to make them see my point or accept me in a way. Yeah, 100%. And I think, it's, I found that it is the biggest weapon. Like, that being like what we call gray rocking is when you like give no emotion. You're like just blah, no, like neutral, and just not getting caught in those traps again, not trying to justify yourself when they say, but don't you love me, I'm your mom, like, don't you love me, don't you want to this because this and all the sacrifices that I did for you. And it's like, well, you gave me a roof and food, like, that's basic. um The only reason I replied is because I'm still at university and needed some paperwork from hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, man. Um, I'm gonna have to let you guys go because it is 2:44, but PM. There's so much I want to say on this subject, but it would take me years. Yes. Well, and it's a subject that I love talking about, psychology and just relationships in general, and trying to heal relationships, or trying to just move on from relationships. We could do another live about it. Yeah, absolutely. And like, should we just do like a live exclusively about that? Like, I don't know, I never know, like, should we just stay on one topic? Do we like changing from one topic to another? I never know, because like there's a title. So like I'm like, I kind of feel like I have to put something in the title that's going to be related to what we talk about. But then, I'm new here. We could do another live. Yeah, I've already said that. Yes, yes, that would be so fun. Maybe we let it flow. The main subject could be it. Yeah, totally. Like, maybe the main subject is like, parent-child relationship. I'm gonna just toss it all. Come on, your traumas are accepted here. Um, but yeah, I love it. And the more, the more I talk about it with people, the more I see that that's not, I'm not the only person who struggle with it. And that, you know, and that hopefully in unity and by sharing, we can make better decision on how we approach those dilemmas that we have. Sorry. Have a good day. We'll watch the replay. Yay! Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. It was such a pleasure. Thank you for my lovely husband Charlie for being here with us today as well. It's so great to be able to share this space with you guys and him on Twitter and on not Twitter, absolutely not Twitter, on Twitch. And I look forward to our next conversation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so excited. That was awesome. I'm telling you, my brain is like, thank you so much for practicing English today. Bisous, bisous. We've got an ending screen. Cue in the ending screen. Are you telling me it didn't work? Yes, again, it did not work. Well, you just gotta love this. Again,